periodically replenish the store's stock, the healthy red corpuscles of any respectable used bookstore, which is why I need widows. The wives of dead collectors are my bibliophilic blood supply. Not that there aren't women who are collectors themselves who die and leave behind houses full of suddenly superfluous books. There are. I bought a few of their collections. But it's mostly men, and they usually die before their wives, and it's the widows I ordinarily deal with. Women, I've found, tend to be the better, more knowledgeable readers, men, the more conspicuous collectors. The widows call me on the telephone and invite me into their homes, and I spend an hour or so sorting through a lifetime of fervent collecting, before eventually making them a cash offer for the recently deceased dear one's lifelong labor of love. I don't buy textbooks, musical scores, or encyclopedias, and what I'm most interested in is literature, all genres, including criticism, history, philosophy, and biography. And no, I can't give you a rough idea of how much I think your collection is worth without first looking at it in person. But I do buy entire estates, large and small. Before any of that, though, a shit, hopefully, a shower and a shave, probably, breakfast, almost certainly. At 52 years old, you learn not to take anything for granted. Visit enough widows, you discover the same thing. I used to be in a relationship for nearly 10 years, but then I met Jerry Garcia's guitar and good weed. That's my theory, anyway. Debbie might have a different answer if you ask her, but you'd have to call long distance to get it. And she's a busy woman. Be prepared to leave a message. We both like being busy. It's probably why we lasted as a couple as long as we did. We liked to work hard and enjoyed what we did for a living and appreciated the other one felt the same way. We even met because of work. Debbie was employed as a paralegal near Osgood Hall, which wasn't too far of a walk to my store on Queen Street, and she came into the shop one day and said she had to buy a gift for the head of the law firm she worked for, who decided to run for Parliament on the Conservative ticket. I succeeded in suppressing the desire to suggest the idiot, and instead recommended an expensive first edition of Robert Penn Warren's Exploration of Political Power, All the King's Men. She'd seen the movie it was based on and got the joke, and we shared a conspiratorial smile while I rang up her purchase, which led to an afternoon cup of coffee and then to a late dinner and then to sharing the same bed. The sex was good, and she didn't seem to mind that I had books on the brain the majority of the time, and it was easier to keep my toothbrush in one place instead of two. We were born in the same year, but entering our late 40s and intimations of, holy shit, I'm going to be 50 soon, meant something very different for each of us. Debbie grew up in northern Ontario, on the north shore of Lake Superior, and was always after me to visit where she was from and to sample its bucolic delights. I went once, her parents still lived up there, and it's sublimely beautiful, I get it. But when she took up hardcore hiking in the shadow of the Big 50, however, she was on her own. She never made me feel as if I wasn't welcome to join her and her growing circle of hiking buddies, just like she'd always encourage me to emulate her daily hour-and-a-half workout at the gym, or to join her whenever she'd run or walk or climb for one good cause or another. But driving several hours somewhere just to be able to spend several more hours slogging across the Canadian Shield while swatting away mosquitoes and keeping an eye out for bears isn't my idea of R&R. Sounds more like punishment than pleasure. Around the same time, I began to feel that, staring down my own half-century, I'd earned the occasional time out from human interaction as well, and discovered an unexpectedly effective way of simultaneously shutting out the outside noise while turning up the volume inside, turning it way up. Headphones and red wine and the right record album had always been a favorite means of washing away a busy day of words, whether buying them or selling them or reading them. But marijuana took the cerebral cleansing of a full-bodied Chardonnay to a whole other level of psychic relief. It was as if I'd never really heard music before, or I'd heard it, it was the same sounds, but it was like listening to them in stereo for the first time. Each instrument clearly, magnificently audible in isolation, as well as a participating piece of the greater musical whole. It was like learning a new language. And the best music to get the best value for your doobie was music made by Jerry Garcia. Garcia's guitar tone, his instrumental DNA, was, like pot, a late-in-life revelation, was delicately, powerfully, swoop and soar, sinewy and inimitably his ceaseless musical curiosity compelling him to eschew guitar solo cliches and squeeze out the full emotional range of almost every note.